Let's get right into it. Today, we're tearing into a really fascinating piece of East Asian philosophy, Daesoon thought, and its wildly radical approach to fixing, well, our entire universe. If you've been looking around lately and thinking, man, things feel fundamentally out of balance, you are absolutely going to want to pay attention to the structural shifts we're mapping out today.
So, let's start with a massive, mind-bending question. How exactly do you repair a broken universe? I mean, we're not talking about fixing a flat tire or patching a leaky roof here, right? Though, honestly, a leaky universe sounds like a way bigger headache. What we're actually looking at is a total paradigm shift. It's viewing reality itself as being in this state of deep crisis that requires a dramatic, literally, cosmic intervention.
Here's how we're going to break this down. First, the need for cosmic repair. Second, God in human form. Then, rebuilding the three realms. 4, a homegrown Eastern modernity. And finally, beyond Western postmodernism. Let's jump in.
Section 1. The need for cosmic repair.
Okay, so back when Western modernity first swept into East Asia, it obviously brought a ton of material progress. But as the sources point out, it also dragged along profound materialism and a whole host of societal ills. In response, you had Donghak thought stepping up, trying to hit the fundamental reset button by introducing this idea of a transcendent heaven. It was an attempt to totally redefine the relationship between heaven, earth, and humanity. But here's the catch. While Donghak laid a really great foundation, its attempt to dismantle those old hierarchies, it kind of fell short. It was a powerful revelation, for sure, but it wasn't a full realization just yet.
They needed a much deeper fix. And that brings us to the concept of Qianji Gongza. You can literally think of this as cosmic maintenance work. We're talking about the physical remodeling of a broken sky and earth. The text described this as this monumental transition, moving away from a universe governed by polar opposites and constant conflict into a brand new order of mutual growth. It's essentially the ultimate DIY project, reorganizing the very degrees of heaven and earth to heal a totally broken system.
Which leads us to Section 2. God in human form.
Think about it. If the entire universe needs a gut renovation, who exactly is doing the heavy lifting? This introduces us to a truly foundational concept in this philosophy called Insengengsei. It's defined as the phenomenon where the supreme god of the nine heavens, Gucheon Sengje, actually physically descends into a human body to directly transform heaven and earth. This is a huge theological shift. We aren't just talking about a spiritual vision or some mystical whisper from the clouds. No, this is a physical, substantive, boots-on-the-ground incarnation.
Just to put that into perspective, in earlier Donghak thought, God basically stayed safely tucked away in the realm of revelation. The transcendent heaven was there, but it was abstract. But in Daesoon thought, the divine actually shows up as a human being with tangible substance. It's literally God stepping right onto the physical stage to roll up his sleeves and do the manual labor of repairing reality.
There's this incredibly powerful quote from the original sources that captures this perfectly. It says, when Sangje was in the nine heavens, the gods, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas appealed to him that without Sangje, heaven and earth could not be corrected, so he decided to descend to the world on his own. I mean, wow. That highlights the sheer, undeniable cosmic urgency of the situation. The old systems were so far gone that every existing divine figure basically threw their hands up and realized that only the supreme God, incarnating physically, could pull off this repair.
All right, Section 3. Rebuilding the Three Realms.
So Daesoon thought maps out reality into this celestial view of the three worlds, or Samgye. First up is heaven. And this isn't just a single fluffy cloud. It is a massively complex system of 9 or more nested hierarchies, basically the ultimate cosmic bureaucracy. Then you have Earth, encompassing the physical land and the underworld, which acts as this vital connector. And third is the human world. Now this is the vital part. The human world is the actual stage where the heavenly Sangje wields power and where these cosmic works are actually executed. These aren't isolated little bubbles, they are deeply, dynamically interwoven.
If you contrast this with older, traditional Eastern views, say Buddhism, which leans heavily into these abstract realms of desire and formlessness, a really stark difference jumps out at you. Daesoon thought grabs the abstract and turns it into a concrete operational machine. It gives us this totally integrated, realistic creation of heaven, earth, and humanity where dynamic changes are happening all at once, across every single level.
So, how does this giant cosmic machine actually run day to day? Well, the mechanics rely on Shinmyang, or divine beings. These substantive beings are traveling constantly across the three worlds, acting on Sungji's direct orders. And here's the wild part. This divine power actively enters human minds to transform our very constitution and personality. The divine isn't just sitting up high on a throne, it actively permeates human nature to run the operations of heaven and earth from the inside out.
And the result of all this cosmic plumbing, the texts give us this beautifully poetic climax. Now the heavens have been repaired, the earth has been repaired, and the water has been laid out so that there are no leaks. Honestly, that's just the perfect metaphor for the successful completion of Cheonji Gongsa. The broken universe is completely patched, balanced, and finally ready for a whole new era.
Section 4. A homegrown Eastern modernity.
The sources use this fantastic term for this societal shift, autogenous modernity. It's such a great phrase. It basically means a modern way of thinking that sprouted up entirely internally within East Asia. It isn't just blindly copying the West. Instead, it takes existing Eastern traditions and actively uses them to build a brand new worldview. It looks at the old heaven, tips its hat, and says, "Thanks, but we're replacing you with a newer, highly functional framework."
To really grasp why this matters, look at this incredible contrast. Western modernity is famously defined by Friedrich Nietzsche's bold claim, the death of God, completely discarding the divine in favor of pure material rationalism. But Daesoon's autogenous modernity does the exact opposite. It champions the humanization of God through that physical incarnation we talked about. So instead of pushing God out the back door of the modern equation, it brings the divine right into the living room of the human experience.
And because the supreme God physically came down, we get the completion of a concept known as liminality. Those ancient, rigid boundaries we always imagine between the perfect, untouchable sacred heavens and our messy, profane, everyday lives. Those boundaries are completely dissolved. They're totally rewired into a new system where humans and gods are communicating and cooperating seamlessly.
Finally, Section 5. Beyond Western Postmodernism.
Now, if you look at the real limitations of Western modernity, and even postmodernity for that matter, there is this overwhelming obsession with pure reason, endless material progress, and an entirely human-centric perspective. Daesoon's postmodernity just steps right past those limitations. Instead of worshiping only reason, it offers this beautiful harmony between reason and transcendence. Instead of chasing just material stuff, it demands mental and material balance. And rather than thinking humans are the center of everything, it insists on a perfect balance between all three worlds, heaven, earth, and man.
So what's the big takeaway for us today? Well, it's highly practical. Daesoon thought is way more than just abstract theology. It's presenting a truly alternative, pluralistic worldview. By demanding that we integrate the transcendent with the here and now, it's offering a balanced, harmonious blueprint, a blueprint for surviving and actually addressing the massive environmental, social, and value crises we're all dealing with in our current era.
Which leaves us with this final thought. If our modern universe is indeed broken, as I think so many of us feel it is, could the actual blueprint for its repair rely on totally dissolving the boundaries between the sacred and ourselves? Maybe. Just maybe, the ultimate cosmic repair isn't happening out there in the distant stars, but right here, when the divine is allowed to actively reshape the human mind and our world. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and definitely keep exploring.